Phenomena. Phenomena. Phenomena.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of most ages, welcome back to another episode of Don't Be So Brewed.
We already opened up our beers prematurely. We were ready to have a drink.
I was picking on him for opening up his beer, and then I looked at mine, and I'm like, damn it, I opened up mine as well. I've got nothing.
We're off our game already.
I know.
There we go.
That's really
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank
Zool's
you.
got us.
Man, saved by the producer every time.
Every time.
Tell you, he makes us look good.
Well, for every Hulk smash or, random loud comment we make,
That's exactly right.
there's a Zool rolling his eyes and going, son of a bitch.
That's exactly right. So before we get into all of our nonsense, we've got a couple of guests this evening.
A couple of guests?
A couple of guests.
I think we might have our youngest guest ever.
I think we do.
Besides you mentally, I think this is the youngest guest.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
So are you talking about Daniel or are you talking about Charlotte?
Well, I mean, Daniel is very young looking. I mean, he's
He
definitely
is.
in his...
I don't think he's shaved in years. Do you?
Yeah, shit last week.
Last week? I'm like, okay. Wow, that's impressive.
That's like a 7-day, 5
I'm
o'clock
kidding.
shadow, right?
Right?
So with us this week, we've got Daniel Cahill, local, national, international Saab enthusiast,
Man of Mystery, International Man of Mystery.
international man of mystery.
Fun fact, he actually had lunch with Troy Aikman one time.
That's true. A couple weeks ago.
There
And
you
I had to
go.
explain to the girl that works with me, who proceeded to Google him. She didn't know who he was. And she asked me if he used to work at our company.
Right.
But that's what happens when you're 24.
Fire her.
No.
Wow.
There was two,
Okay.
right? I think there was two people you said that were younger.
That and then-
Who's that?
When Tom Petty passed away, I was at work and had a little meltdown at work. And a girl that works for me who's 30 asked if Tom Petty used to work at our company. She didn't know who he was either. So
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
this is really happening.
You-
For
you-
anybody over 40, this is your reality.
I got to tell you, you should tell them that these people
I'm not
did
over
work
40
at
and
your
I know
company.
all this. This is ridiculous.
You got to tell
I'm
them that these
offended.
people did work at your company, but they made it really big so that everyone they go talk to says, Tom Petty used to work at my
That's
bank.
right.
There you go.
Troy
Listen.
Aikman used to work at my bank.
People in this age range, get your stuff together. We gotta,
Well, it's
you gotta
all
know
relative.
these things. This is pop culture.
You
She
probably
doesn't know who
recognize
Tom
I was about
Petty
to
is.
say she probably heard it.
She's
I'm
under
sure
the
Dad's
bar.
listened to it, but she is.
I just heard it right now.
There you go.
There you go. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Charlotte Zimmerman. I'm his daughter.
Her,
daughter.
yeah.
Wow.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. That might be the least manly thing that's ever happened to me.
There you go.
Not that I've ever done. That's
So,
ever happened to
Charlotte
me.
has two mommies?
Yes, basically.
Oh, okay.
You know,
That makes more sense.
Not the
they
case.
just live in one of those new homes.
So for those of you that are...
For you, then.
Yeah, exactly, right? So for those of you that are just returning, my name is Scott Zimmy Zimmerman, and this is my bro host, Dr. Double B, Dr. Brandon Brown, Dr. Burgundy. And he's
Ah,
wearing
That's
this
right.
shirt today.
I had to.
I see what you
I
did
had to
there.
do it. It's part of the brand.
You
We
want
got to
to
keep the brand alive.
talk about our sponsors real quick?
Yes, of course. You know, we always love to talk about our fantastic sponsors that take such good care of us. Everybody knows that Etches, engravings and coatings, always making sure that our stuff looks pimped out. I actually had a cool idea. I think some Don't Be So Brewed swag is coming down the pipeline
It's
pretty
coming
soon.
down the pipe. There's no question.
People better be ready. We're actually getting ready to have some live events, so I think in order to be prepared, I mean, who doesn't want a Don't Be So Brewed shirt?
Like limited edition things?
Probably. I mean, it might be, the OG first one
Numbered.
might be an original run, only,
We should sign everything.
There
yeah,
you go.
as if people care.
That way we can try and buy it on eBay in 20 years, you know?
Of course, our other sponsors, the Specific Chiropractic Centers, Richardson and Red Light Media. We don't officially have them as a sponsor yet, but we are still going for Shiner. If you know someone that can connect us with them, we would love
Tell
to
them,
bring
Charlotte.
them.
Tell them
Charlotte's
what's
over
up.
here like dancing.
It's like, tell them, you got to
Shiner
do
like
this,
Shiner
people.
Buck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over here in her pizza, donuts, and sweatpants shirt.
It's the lazy.
That's like my spirit animal right there. I love it.
Your spirit sweatpants.
That's right.
Now,
So
do,
I know.
Now, do you eat them all together?
You don't know.
No, just...
Well, I don't think you eat
just
sweatpants. I hope not.
You wear the sweatpants and then you eat the donuts for breakfast and skip lunch and then eat the pizza.
Boom.
Wow.
If you
That's
ate
some
the
sound
sweatpants,
logic.
you
It's
could
much
be on-
better than wearing the pizza and the donuts and eating the sweatpants.
That's right.
No, basically, you eat the donuts
I mean, if we found a pizza shop,
Oh.
she would almost be talking about the donut, wine, and fitness district in Richardson.
That's right. That might be a business opportunity. Just open a
Come
pizza
on,
shop
guys.
over there.
We need
But if you do
just
eat
a pizza
your
truck.
sweatpants, you can get on that show, My Strange Obsession.
Ew.
There you go.
That could be a way.
My strange
I like to eat
addiction.
sweatpants.
It's addiction.
My
Oh,
strange
see?
addiction.
Okay.
Dude, she's
Wow.
definitely your child. She's on it. She knows the order.
She's
She
got
knows
the
about.
facts.
She does. Look at her.
Over 40, they don't know these things.
That's right.
Right?
Too old to remember that
Wait,
stuff.
we don't have time to watch all these different shows.
All right.
Well, I have time.
I know you do.
You have all summer. Lucky.
Yeah, soak it in. Because when it goes away, then real life kicks in.
So where are we at this week, statistically speaking?
Man, we made our biggest jump ever.
Really?
No, not really. We jumped up one spot. What's that put us at? The 259th?
We're in the 250s.
We're getting there.
Woo!
Before you know it. I mean, we already know that we are officially the best new podcast of 2019.
Yep.
Statistics prove it.
Mhm.
We talk about the unsexy statistics that are legitimate. We talk about eyeballs on the podcast, downloads, all that fun stuff. But what I would actually like to get into first, since we have your wonderful, amazing daughter on the show, is I would like to let her just embarrass you.
She could try.
This is a roast?
Yeah, this is just a Zimmy roast if she's got it. Like, you got any stories about your dad? You got any, like, you got to give us the dirt. Nobody in that house cracks. You got to be the first one to be like, here's how my dad really is. He wakes up dancing to Taylor Swift while dancing and drinking a mocha latte in his
Wait, do you
pink
stay at his house?
sweatpants. This is all just predictions.
Oh,
This is
okay.
what I picture. For the guy that says he's the manliest man,
You
I'm
should
like,
get closer so that everybody could hear what you have to say.
It's
Okay.
a
tell us all, give us all the dirt on dad.
Well, I only have
For this
one-
segment, Dirt on Dad.
Hashtag dirt on dad.
Dun, 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 dun. Sorry, I just wanted to make it.
That helps.
Yeah, I like it.
Dun dun dun.
Dun,
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 dun.
dun, 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 dun. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, working. Wait, sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Okay. Okay, so I only know one dirty, like, little thing about
I love it
We
already.
need to capture this.
Here we go.
It's not really.
This is the first.
Cut!
This guy's like, Zool.
Zool, this is the point. We're going to break here, then we're going to meld with that cool fade you did with Zach last week.
Everybody knows. There's none of that in this. Raw.
Okay.
Man, Daniel even moved the mic for me, man. I appreciate that.
He's like, I'm stepping out.
So,
Make sure you look at the camera. Tell your story. These are the people watching.
okay. So, in my grandparents' house, my dad was sleeping, and then he didn't wake up, but like he was sleepwalking. Then went into the closet and started peeing.
Oh. Well,
So
I think I remember your brother telling me
Yeah,
this
he
story.
might have mentioned that.
all right.
Is that all you got?
What's the most embarrassing thing your dad does?
Dance.
Literally, he doesn't even know how to ballroom dance. He can't even do the 4-step.
Did you know
He's got that
that
more dance thing going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 left feet. Yep.
It's-
Yeah, see, there we go.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Zimmy
I've seen
shimmy, as I've coined it now.
I used to call it the shuffle,
There you go.
but the shimmy,
Zimmy
that
shimmy.
kind of rhymes. I
Yep.
like that works.
Zimmy shimmy, bite the lip. Oh yeah.
Well, that's some good stuff.
As Zool said, bite the
So
lip
is that
if
what you
y'all
got?
didn't hear that.
Anything else?
There's nothing else embarrassing. Like, there's got to be something.
You could go think
He's
on the
not
couch,
giving-
and
he's
if you
not
come
giving
up with
anything
something,
out.
come back here and
he
wait.
drinks too much beer.
Well, there's a name for that.
No such thing.
Too much.
Every week on this podcast, what are you talking about?
A statement like that, you'd think I'm drinking every night.
Yeah, you are drinking every night.
No, I'm not.
Alrighty then.
I guess I'm
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
All right.
Been a
See
pleasure.
you later.
Hit the floss and then hit the couch.
Into the camera.
Woo!
What?
I hope it catches that. Probably all you see is like her head. It's like,
Okay, I'm gonna take my water too.
Yeah, do that.
don't forget that.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
So, keeping in the spirit of this, since everyone at the table is a father, Happy Father's Day
Happy
to
Father's
everyone.
Day.
Thank
and
you,
to all of our
yes.
brew crew
That's
out there. Zool, you too.
My 13th.
You've got 2 kids, is that right?
I do. A teenager and a
Preteen.
preteen. So I'm in the weeds with both.
Goodness. I understand. I saw something really cool that you posted about your son where he ran a mile in 5:24.
He did, and then
Damn, it's
when
right.
he was done running that, I
That's quick.
asked him if he needed a cup of water because he was hardly even huffing or puffing, and then he told me that he probably could have gone harder. So that was his.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, I don't know where he gets it from, but
Well, you run a lot.
I do, but not like. Oh, I ran with him yesterday, and we started feet away from your house, and within 30 seconds he was already up at Lookout or what. I didn't even see him for
What?
the rest of the time. He's gone. Yeah, he's
He's a rabbit.
yeah.
He's
It's
quick.
the
I mean, I've seen those
aerodynamic
videos.
hair.
Did you watch the video?
No, I didn't see the video. I just saw his
Dude.
post about it where he was like smoked everyone.
He's like Park Kenyon, man. He's phenomenally fast.
Hey, we'll
He's
take
really fast.
I'm just gonna let that moment hang there for you a little
Bet you
bit.
will.
It's Park Kenyon. So I've
No,
got
he's
a
speaking.
yeah.
Yes.
How was your Father's Day?
It was chill.
Did you guys do anything?
I spent a lot of time working.
Sounds about right. Sounds like Father's Day.
Got to go up to my parents' house, and we grilled some ribeyes on the big green egg out there.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun. We got through the storm.
I was about to say
Fairly
survived
unscathed.
the second storm.
The second one wasn't near as
I was
bad
about to
as
say the
first,
second one was nothing
and I didn't really
compared
get
to
to
the first.
experience
Yeah.
either of them. So
I was in the mean streets of Highland Park, so I missed it yesterday. Apparently there was a
I
big
thought it was
storm
coming
here.
through Highland Park and University Park pretty strong.
It came through strong. Poured on our grill out, but we survived. But I thought there was an actual tornado warning.
There was.
There was. They
Richardson.
sent out the whole thing. Everybody's phone
sirens
went
went
off.
off and-
Yeah, everybody was freaking out. So I was like, okay, we need to, kind of watch and be aware. But then it ended up being nothing. Especially not like last week.
They love this stuff. I swear, man.
But the weather?
The news.
Oh, yeah.
my gosh.
Well, it makes for great TV.
I mean, last week you'd think that they'd have been on top of that, but I guess it just kind of snuck up so quick there was no way to predict it, is what they're saying. And then this time it's like, oh, it's coming. We got another one coming in. And it
Yeah.
was still Sunday. It was like exactly a week to the day.
Did you guys get hit, Daniel, with any bad stuff with the trees or anything like that last week?
No, I was out of town, but I did see it when I was out of town. I saw a headline come across that said Texas, United States, severe storm. And when I was out of town last weekend, so I guess it is a slow news week.
Yeah, it was insane. Never seen anything like it. Like
like
still
a
even driving
microburst or
over here,
something.
there's still trees that are just hanging there, that haven't been trimmed off, that haven't been picked up yet. Like,
It's going to be months before all that gets
Oh, yeah.
handled.
my
Without
mother-in-law said she talked to somebody that's part of their business, and they said it's going to be like 8 months to get all this stuff.
It's a good
done
time to
and
own a
cleaned up.
chainsaw.
Yep,
Or an elephant.
that's right. If anyone knows our elephant,
Right? They were
Gotta
saying,
throw
like
that
the
back.
Dallas Zoo was saying if you got these tree trimmings to bring them down to the zoo so they could use it as food for the elephant.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Elephants eat trees?
Yeah, for sure.
Peanuts, I mean,
Listen, if we're going to get an elephant, we got to know these things.
They call it browse. I used to work at the zoo a long time ago, and they would take in what they call browse shrubbery, and we'd go through it and make sure it was in good condition.
Really?
Huh.
What did you do at the zoo? I'm kind of...
I collected.
If you picked up elephant poop, we might have a job.
No,
for
I had a cool job. I actually, what did I do? I collected the little embryos for this endangered species, and I was responsible for putting them in a little freezer because there's a breeding program where they share the
Wow.
Were you
when
like
they're
the
in.
extractor? Or how
No,
did
I
this
was just basically the feces collector, and I would put it in the little freezer capsules, and we'd send it around to this program to.
work? Embryo feces?
Well, no, it was like you'd have to collect the feces, and then they would make sure that the females were in estrus, and then they would harvest the eggs out of them. It's for an endangered species program to prevent like inbreeding.
So
of
they were
species.
evaluating the feces to figure out what
Well,
state
that was
of-
my job. They didn't tell me that when I first signed up, but that later became when I was
Hey,
promoted.
Cahill, there's some poo over there. Just play with it a little bit and then bring it over here and put
It was
it
a
in
good
a
job.
container.
Any specific species of anything? Like, or just
Yes,
something
for those
crazy
of you watching, I'm curious if anybody knows what an okapi is. That's what I used to do. But people do know after I explain it.
Zool knows.
It was discovered
Zool knows everything, though.
because I'm into cryptozoology as well, which this guy likes to poke fun at. But it's the study of undiscovered species of animals.
Oh, I was gonna ask if that was like cryptocurrency where you can like trade
No.
animals
No,
online.
there's no
for
value
money.
there.
This is like Bigfoot.
Cryptozoology.
So
Bigfoot, huh?
to answer your question, without everybody looking it up, it's called an okapi. And a lot of people do know what it is. Either they know from the name, or they look at it and go, oh, yeah, I've seen that. So it's basically, it's about 1,300 pounds. It's a really large animal. And it looks like half giraffe, half zebra, and half camel.
Oh,
And,
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
And so the thing that's fascinating about these is it was not until 1905 the Western
Scott's about
world
to Google this.
the Western world didn't even know they existed until 1905.
Really?
There was no documentation that they existed until someone discovered them in the Congo. And of course, they're an endangered species now. So the International Breeding Program to prevent inbreeding of the species, that's why they collect these and trade off and try to raise the species to save them. Here he goes. He's pulling it up now. You'll
So
say
these
I
things
know
are
what it is.
massive,
Oh yeah.
Well, like 1,300 pounds. They're big. They're real docile.
and you had to clean up their poop.
That was a good job. I liked it. I just didn't like the hours.
Sounds
And at the
kinda
time,
shitty.
it was a civil service job because the city owned the zoo. So I used to work for the mayor,
Oh, okay.
which was no fun. Just only from the logistics standpoint.
Gotcha.
No signal.
Nothing.
Not enough to bring up.
No
anything.
signal.
So then, since you brought it up, does Bigfoot
Well-
exist?
Absolutely. Are you? But I'm not even prepared to discuss
Did-
that right now because that's a whole other topic.
Did you see the stuff I tagged you on with the
But
government?
but you
released
got
papers
information?
and
Is
all
that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, a quick plug for the Bigfoot convention that's coming up in Huntsville this year. But I was at the last convention and took my daughter, and I can't wait to go back. It's good stuff, and we can't tell you where the location is because it'll tip off the big feed ahead of time. But there we go. He pulled up the okapi. See, now we know what it is.
Never seen one of those before.
Got a zebra ass.
Yep. See, he knew.
It does.
That's so when they stand in the
it's
forest.
black and white.
Must have been a hell of a night.
When they hide in the forest, you can't see the picture for those of you out there in the world, but if you want to Google it, go ahead. But it's okapi, O-K-A-P-I. And the point of that on its back hindquarters is to hide from its predators in the forest with all of the striping he's moving the picture with.
Gotcha.
But that confuses the predators in the dense jungle, and they can't see it
I was
standing.
going to say, usually it's all about protection, right?
Yeah. So
There you go. Now you guys are going to get a picture. Thanks, Zool. Wait, so I got to get back to this Bigfoot thing. Like, we got to unpack this just a little bit.
oh boy, I wasn't prepared for this. But okay,
Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
whatever. This is.
It
like,
sounds like you are. You're like, hey, there's a convention, by the way. Let me just give a quick shout out. Can't wait to be there. Bigfoot rules. O'Doyle rules.
Anyway, but absolutely. And so cryptozoology, which is the study of undiscovered species,
Mm-hmm.
that's what falls. Sorry, that's mine. Turn that down.
Can't be on conference calls in here. Jeez.
No. But anyway, it's the study of undiscovered
inside joke.
species, all types of animals, and so and different things fall into that category. And I'm telling you, when they find Bigfoot and or Loch Ness Monster, I can't decide which one I want to know first, but when they find either one of them, I will have completed my life.
You know they found one that resembles the Loch Ness Monster, but it was not found. I actually was just reading this morning, funny enough, that they found the remains of a dinosaur that looks like that, but it was in like Antarctica or something like that, not in
that's
Scotland.
cool. Well,
But they
in
found they
Antarctica?
showed they showed what it looked like, and you're like, oh, that looks like what they say a Loch Ness Monster looks like, but it's not in some
fascinating.
lake
I
in
can't
Scotland.
wait. I can only hope I'm around when the discovery is made.
So then what's your like, I gotta poke at this a little bit, like what's the definitive, being into cryptozoology, how come nobody's found one then?
Well, I think it's the same conversation about all the other species around the globe that are constantly discovered. People find plants and insects all the time, and not to make light of that, but it's like, oh, great, we found another species of fly in the desert. Okay, well, big deal. But the world is so vast, and like the oceans, I mean, what lies out there is to me pretty fascinating, that there are creatures within our reach that we don't even know we share the planet with, and that's just what I think about all types of things, both mammals and, of course, birds and what have you, reptiles, and, of course, fish and sea creatures, definitely.
How many of those get their own convention, though?
Not enough coverage on a lot of these things, I will say. But it's pretty amazing. You can look it up. The last they just discovered a deer species in Vietnam in 2002, I think. Nobody ever even knew it existed. They just discovered this. I think 2003, an entire species of deer that nobody had ever even seen before. And they continue to find different mammals, large, substantial size animals that nobody's ever seen before. And there's still undiscovered territories in the world, and like far Pacific South and things like that. So as far as Bigfoot goes, I mean, again, I just think it's a pretty fascinating thing, and it's very possible. Maybe he's watching tonight.
He probably is. He's definitely a part of the Brew Crew.
HD.
If a Bigfoot did exist, it would love our podcast.
I think so.
I don't know how he'd listen to it. He'd have to be like eavesdropping on someone else listening to it, which means Bigfoot's... We are global, so
hey,
he
Bigfoot,
could...
if you're watching, hit us up.
Yeah.
We'll get you
and that
on.
reminds me,
We'll have Daniel come in and interview you.
anybody that wants to go to the Bigfoot convention and they don't want to talk about it publicly, you can private message me, because you know who you are, and there's about 5 people that wanted to go, but they were too embarrassed to put it on social media that they wanted to attend, and that was on them that they missed out. So
this is going to be on Facebook, so if you guys are
know
in
who
this,
you
like,
are.
let me know. I'm just curious of like if there's these people that, you know, hunting Bigfoot and reports of Bigfoot and all these phone calls and all this stuff, and like I can agree with you. I don't think that we've discovered everything.
So there was a bunch. And did you see the stuff I
probably
tagged you on there?
I think Scott's secretly into this too. I'm picking up.
Well,
a
no,
vibe
I
here.
got intrigued after meeting Daniel and finding out about his interest in this. That's a safe word, interest.
This is a safe zone.
Obsession.
Right,
It's fine.
obsession. So, because I find it amusing, right?
Good.
You know, but it's kind of interesting because things will kind of crop up in the news once in a while. And most recently, there was some government classified papers that had gotten released back from the late 70s that were kind of specifically targeting this. And they were saying they had like hair samples, and I think they said it ended up being like a deer hair or something along those lines.
LSD papers.
But there was there was like 30 pages of content that got declassified and released.
I think I saw this thing.
The fact that it exists was kind of interesting. You know, like I started totally off topic. I started watching this like history of aliens on the
Nice.
History Channel.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right, and it's talking about all these different happenings throughout history and how these advanced civilizations existed, and how, you know, some of the things that were built, like the pyramids and so forth, like how could that possibly have been done even in today's day and age? That seems like a very complicated thing to do, even
sure.
with the tools and technology that we've got available to us, right? Just all those points, like just insane, and a lot of that paperwork is gone. And you know, this show was talking about the influence of these extraterrestrial civilizations that came and visited, and you know, we could be on kind of their plan and their path, and how all this paperwork got burned and destroyed and all this real wacky stuff. But you look back at some of the hieroglyphics, I know, right? Yeah.
Zul's over here like
shooting up over here.
you got to get shot up with some
He's getting
stuff
his-
to believe this.
He's getting his spoon out. But you know,
For the record, Bigfoot doesn't believe in you either. So, if
There's that.
But I'm here right now. I exist. If you slap me, that exists.
you
See?
felt that, right?
Right?
See? But it was kind of interesting because you look at the hieroglyphics, there's always things in the sky and flying, and there's nothing that we knew of that was flying back then.
Good
you know,
point.
so what were these things? I mean, enough to make a whole TV show about it. But it's
true.
kind of intriguing stuff.
Listen,
How much-
UFOs exist.
How much of history is what the governments want us to believe the history
Oh,
is?
for sure. You know
Well
there's
said.
things like that. UFOs exist, but a UFO by definition is an unidentified flying object. Doesn't mean that there was an alien inside of that or whatever it is.
fair enough.
Who
And it
knows?
doesn't mean there wasn't.
Yeah. You can't just definitively say, I'm just interested by the Bigfoot thing because, like, listen, if there is something out there like that exists, I'm like, I think it would be cool. I know the most recent one that I saw was a guy that was like, we caught one, wait till we release this, was like doing all this big buildup of like, this is going to be huge, blah, 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 and then was like, nothing.
Total
like,
letdown.
Yeah, nothing ever came out about it. Like, I think it was
Well,
total
I met
BS.
quite a few people at this convention. This convention was a couple of days long, 2.5 days maybe, and there's people that had, you know, written testimony, and they spoke in front of groups, and they talked about their experiences with Bigfoot, if you will. Spoke to one lady who said she was abducted by a Bigfoot, and was with him for several days, and so pretty
It's called one night stand. Yeah,
pretty compelling stories, but you know, for those
Like in his cabin or like.
no, just in the woods. We'll just leave it
He's
at
not
that.
quite that, you know. He doesn't have a cabin. That'd be too obvious. You find Bigfoot's cabin, you're like, oh, look at this picture of this Bigfoot family on the wall.
Yeah.
Like Harry and the Hendersons, right?
He actually had one of those
Yeah.
classic GMC motorhomes. You remember from the
There you go.
70s?
Oh, damn, really?
The twin axle one, those cool ones from the 70s.
There you go.
That's apparently
See, he was,
what
Yeah,
Bigfoot
so
drives.
Bigfoot's a car guy. That's
Yeah.
cool.
But that, hey, that's why I'm into it.
of course.
Big feet, big block. I mean, you gotta have the right rig, you know.
Bigfoot, Sasquatch. Is there like certain terms you're not allowed
Yes,
to use with
okay,
this?
so
You can't say
no,
squatch.
no.
What are the
Sasquatch.
derogatory terms
Yeah.
for identifying a
No,
Bigfoot?
Sasquatch is a Native American term from the Pacific Northwest. So people in Seattle, Idaho, Oregon, southern Canada call it Sasquatch. In Asia, they call it abominable snowman because, again, same reference, same species throughout the.
Yeti, though?
And Yeti is in Southeast Asia, so
I thought
more
this
in
was a
Russia,
Yeti.
Siberia. So he's on it. So we got four things. So Yeti, abominable snowman, Bigfoot, and Sasquatch are pretty much all the same thing. It's like saying puma, cougar, mountain lion are actually all the same species of animal. People
This is a
call
lot
them
of information for a guy that was not ready for this conversation.
Oh, he's ready.
I'm like,
He's over
yeah,
it.
right. He's
Just
like,
trying to
well, there's
clarify.
actually 4 different types of names depending on where you're at in the world.
Well, it's regional.
quite
It's
fascinating.
regional, yeah.
I
So,
get
but
it.
to answer your question, a Yeti, and yes, exactly. So
Geographical vernacular.
there you go. So
It's like soda and pop.
Yes.
There you go.
That's a whole nother discussion.
That's a whole nother discussion.
There's a question for the brew crew.
I used
Do you
to say
call it
pop
soda or do
until I
you call it
moved to
pop?
the. I was gonna say the Americas to America. I used to say pop, but now I say soda. I guess
Yeah.
soda.
I was about to say, it's all dependent on where you're
Oh,
at.
you
I
got
think
pop,
it's-
you got Coke. Gotta get a Coke, but that could mean
The Coke drives me
And
nuts.
In
There's
Texas,
no way.
Coke
yeah.
means multiple things, right? Yeah.
Give
No,
me a
I think
Coke,
that's
make
up
it a Dr.
north that
Pepper.
means
I'm
that.
like,
I don't think down
Oh.
here. Yeah, I think that's a northern thing where they're like, oh yeah, give me a Coke. I don't think that's down here.
So where I grew up, it was
No, it's down
soda.
here.
Is it down here?
Yeah. They say, give me
Yeah.
a Coke, make it a Dr. Pepper. I'm like, I'm not an alchemist.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Not an
That's right.
alchemist.
That makes no sense. No sense whatsoever.
So where I grew up in New York, I grew up in New York City.
It's pop.
It was soda. You go to upstate New York, it's pop
It is pop.
because it was close to Canada.
Yeah, that's how we would say it.
That's where you get your supply.
So I actually think the Brew Crew question of the week is going to be this one to get back on the
Uh-oh.
topic of Father's
Uh-oh.
Day. So who do you guys think? What's your vote for who the greatest TV show or movie dad of all time was
Oh, jeez.
in honor of Father's Day? I think this is a good one. People can always bring up all their different
Dad.
opinions
Gotta
on
go with
this.
Chevy Chase,
Chevy Chase.
right?
Who was?
Yes.
I don't watch a lot of TV.
Vacation?
Most
Yeah.
relatable.
Yeah, that's pretty
Of
cool.
course.
That's a pretty cool one. What about that guy? Was it Growing Pains? Who was the guy that was like the psychologist, Dr. Seaver or something? He was like the dad.
What was his name?
It was like Kirk Cameron show or something, or Growing Pains. That was
It was,
called.
it was Growing Pains.
Wasn't he
Mm-hmm.
the Alan Thicke? That was his name. He was like, wasn't he like a dad
go.
on
Yep.
the show or something? That came to mind. I don't know why. I didn't
Homer
really watch the
Simpson?
show.
I was about to say Homer Simpson was the one that I thought of. Hilarious.
Who hasn't been arrested for some molestation? Beaver Cleavers.
There you go.
That's,
You're really tough on the beef last night.
Ward's still the best.
Boy, you know
He's a standard.
Andy Griffin.
how the name Beaver has changed.
Right.
yeah, that'll work too.
Andy Griffin, yeah.
Peter Griffin.
Peter Griffin.
Just keep it in the.
Dude,
Just
you
keep it in
realize-
the
Griffin
Griffin
family.
family.
You realize that Andy Griffin's show, nobody was married?
Really?
How controversial.
Nobody. He wasn't married. Aunt B wasn't married.
True.
These people were happy.
Wow. We got some deep thought on that one. I'm like, nobody was married and everybody was happy.
Nobody was
Huh.
married. in that show.
His wife's still sitting back over there. She's making some nasty faces. Like, if I were him, I wouldn't come around that. curve.
Yeah, just stay over there. I mean, he's gonna stay over there. We'll be safe. I think we'll be safe.
So,
Dude, nobody was married on that show.
okay. That's cool.
That
Got
could be
it.
the key.
So, International Man of Mystery. You just completed a trip to Sweden?
I did. I just came back and I missed all the storms, and actually I was late getting back as a result of the storm in Dallas, which I guess that's why I was on TV where I was. But flight got delayed. What's that?
You didn't miss anything.
No.
Well, I saw a lot of stuff on TV, but my 11-hour flight turned into 21 and a half hours to come back as a result of a few storms in Dallas, which had a ripple effect literally around the world.
Yikes.
So,
You birthed a calf.
oh well, that was fun.
Tell us a little about what you were doing there. I know, like in the Saab community, you're kind of a big deal.
I guess, sure.
You've
Are
got
you
a-
asking for his sob story?
I'm asking for his Saab story. I want to hear it.
Well,
How-
okay.
Tell us why you went to Sweden. What'd you do?
So in Sweden, there was the International Saab Festival, and similar, I guess, kind of like the Bigfoot convention, but this was
I'm
more
picking up a vibe with you on
celebrating-
conventions and
Yeah,
festivals.
yeah, absolutely. So it's a way to bring
that don't exist anymore.
things a way to bring like-minded folk together. And
Yeah.
it was a great time. I was over in Sweden for about 9 days, and the first question I get is, what could you possibly do with cars for 9 days? Well, the answer is all car stuff. For anybody that's a car person, we can make a full day of cars. So we drove around, we showed cars, we looked at cars, we talked about cars, we had tech sessions about cars, we sold parts, we bought parts, all these things. So we streamed live on a couple of things. We went to junkyards, picked on parts and stuff like that. It was pretty cool.
Really?
Zimmy's getting really excited over here. I can
Now
see
I'm like
it.
intrigued.
Well, they interviewed me on the little local network thing over there, and I told if it was broadcast in the United States, I said, nobody send me any more messages. I have no more room in my luggage to bring back any parts, because people were sending me messages and pings saying,
Oh, yeah,
grab me
the
this,
pick
grab
me.
me
So did
that.
you bring
Yeah.
a lot of stuff back?
I did. I brought all the stuff on my carry-on, which always makes me nervous because people want to know what you have, the security and stuff. And ironically, I found myself in New Jersey on the way back, the same place I did 6 years ago with the exact same part in the same bag at the same security checkpoint, getting hassled by TSA. Well, I had a steering wheel with the airbag already taken out of it, but it still had the wires and stuff. So when you send it
When
through,
they see
like a
that,
bomb.
they see all
Yeah.
that. They're like, "What is
So,
all this weird
Don't say the
electrical?"
B word.
yeah. So no, of course I wouldn't say that
Some
in
lip
the airport,
balm,
but
like
as it
bomber
goes through the
jacket.
conveyor belt in Newark is where we were. And of course, the guy's like, "Hey, Sylvia, come over here." And then they open this bag and they pull out and the guy goes, "What, you think you're going to drive the plane with this?" And he pulls out the steering wheel. And I was like, "No, it's just a steering wheel."
I've
And I
got a
have to do
really
the-
Yeah,
high-end
imagine that.
car.
It was
Explain
your
it.
people causing some
You're like,
problems.
It
here.
was
Zimmy.
actually.
Daniel's like, my car back in Texas, it's highly valuable. And, some people put alarm systems. I pull
hey.
my steering wheel off.
I'm well versed on this. Last time I went to a show in New York, it was easier to drive through Canada from Texas. So, in an effort to preserve my car, I taped the entire front of my car with protective tape all around everything except the headlights, including the license plates and so forth. It was easier to drive through Hamilton, Ontario, and Canada to get to Albany than it was to kind of come up through New York City. Anyway, point of the story is I was bringing parts from Texas to take to this New York show, and the guy in Canada said, "Well, let me be sure I understand this." As I pull up to the border with the car completely covered in tape, which looks a little shady. Looking back, I could see why this may send off some
Drug runner.
Yeah.
So here I am on surveillance, pulling up, the car's all taped over, like decoy type thing. Then the question was, and then in the back it was a wagon, and in the back of the wagon had it all covered, with stuff, with the tarp and things. And he
Total
goes,
sketch.
"Let me be sure I understand this. You're coming from Texas with U.S. parts that you're bringing into Canada to drive to New York to sell in the U.S.?" And I said, "Yeah, pretty much." And he goes, "Right."
Yeah, pull over here, sir.
You're like, listen, if I was trying,
He's like
I would have been
11
a little less obvious.
So
if I
the
was trying
result
to
11-hour
sneak it.
trip, 16 hours.
Yeah.
Hey, it resulted in a full cavity search, but we got through and we're good to go.
Whoa.
But, hey, it wasn't my worst Tuesday afternoon on all fours. I'm just saying.
Scott likes to sign up for those. Those are his favorite.
Anyway, so back to Sweden. It was a great time. We drove all over Europe. We were in Denmark and in the Netherlands, which you have to pay for the restroom there, which I forgot about. And so I had to whip out my credit card to pay.
But that's not the only thing you would
Yeah. Well, as I was trying to, as I say, borrow the restroom, and you had to slide a credit card through the little deal to pay, which is kind of cool.
Genius. I've talked about this for years.
It keeps it very clean. It was the same
Well,
place.
They have those in Boston.
This is the same gas station that I ate raw salmon they had at this gas station, but everybody there's beautiful and everybody's super clean, even though they don't wear gloves and they have no sneeze guards. But the people that make the food, it's great.
We're actually quite popular in Sweden. I don't know if you know that.
This
We
was
have
the
some
Netherlands.
downloads in there.
This was the Dutch.
Netherlands.
The
Gotcha.
Dutch.
Yes.
Everyone's so beautiful.
The Dirty Dutch.
No, Sweden, everybody's beautiful. It's bizarre. I don't understand how you can go into a roadside gas station in Sweden and behind the counter, like somebody who looks like Heidi Klum, who's from Germany, but is like working the register in the countryside. I don't get it. This country's very bizarre.
So it's like
Everybody's
North
tall
Miami.
and beautiful.
It's like North Miami. Everyone's
Sounds
gorgeous.
terrible.
Yeah, it's really, really weird and super clean. And so, which is why you'd eat raw fish from a gas station because it's so
Hazel,
neat
you
and
want to
clean.
go to Sweden?
With bare hands.
With you
So-
or someone else.
Whatever. We could take the podcast on the road.
But there's lots to do. So the cool thing is, and to kind of make it more relevant, this company that I also went to see, which is about mobility solutions, they're all about autonomously driven vehicles and ride sharing and all these cool things, which I know is coming to America. Probably it'll be adopted later than the rest of the world because I believe, myself included, that Americans a lot of people consider their autos an extension of their personality here. And so it's hard to give somebody a cookie cutter product and say, here's your transportation pod. It comes in black, white, or beige. Which would you like? I don't think that's going to translate in America very well. It may long term, but not for the immediate future.
Don't throw flames on it, low rider.
Right. So
Hell yeah.
This is like Total Recall type stuff, you know?
I was super privileged. We got to go to this electric company, which is called NEVS. It's National Electrical Vehicle Sweden, which is the word spin backwards. They are the ones that have purchased the estate of what was Saab vehicles before. And they allowed me to drive the prototype vehicle on this controlled track on this bank around this track electric vehicle. This was really super cool.
Told you it's kind of a big deal.
And no, it was a lot of fun. But
Clearly, this guy doesn't
What's
know
that?
a lot.
15, 20 degrees on the bank.
More than that, it's fast enough you have to go fast enough because if you slow down, I mean, you'll
drop.
fall into.
So is this one of the vehicles you posted pictures of, or was this something?
I don't know if I did because to be respectful for the company, I wasn't allowed to post any interior photos or any of the factory photos from inside or the video of me driving it. But
So this wasn't the awesome brown station wagon.
no, but I might have posted a picture of it, and so anyhow, it's pretty exciting. They have built 2 factories in China, and it's kind of an interesting model because the Asian market is very obsessed, my words, with things American and European. And so they will build them initially in China and then introduce them in the Asian market, then Europe, followed by North America later on. But
All self-driving, fully autonomous.
not fully autonomous. So it'll be part of a rideshare program, it's something perhaps my son, when he becomes of driving age, will be inclined to use. But it's basically a pay to play service. So imagine, if you will, real quick, what are our vehicles doing right now while we're sitting here? They're sitting in a parking lot, idling.
They're
doing
waiting
nothing.
for me.
Waiting for you, right? And that's fine.
Waiting for me.
But if you had access to a fleet of 5 different types of vehicles in a pay-to-play situation, if you subscribe to a service that said an autonomous vehicle will be at your doorstep 13 feet from where we're sitting here, you just fire it up on the app. You can get the convertible, the crossover, the truck, whatever, but you have access to a fleet of 5 different types of transportation pods. They're not even calling them cars. And that was part of your pay-to-play situation. The insurance, the maintenance, gas, which is
Everything's
a
in.
thing. Everything is just part of there. It's a subscription-based model, and they feel that for urban settings, that will be not the trend of the future. That will be the new standard because the population density cannot support it in these heavily density areas.
Like
in
New York
Asia.
City, where it costs
For sure. Yeah, it costs
$100 plus to park your car.
absolutely. So not for everybody, and not necessarily mass market initially, but one day. So these things are pretty fascinating. You can find more information on the internet.
So
to
what
see.
you drove, was it a pod or was it a prototype in a car?
No, it's a prototype vehicle that you can self-driving, but you can also obviously be driver-driven, which this was fully electric.
So it had a
vehicle.
steering wheel.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
and about 250 kilometer range on a single charge, and interesting technology, regenerative braking, which for anybody that drives a Tesla knows what that is, and Prius has it as well. But just a great opportunity, so we'll look forward to that. And the supercar maker Koenigsegg, who is a Swedish-based car manufacturer, also owns 20% in the company as well, and they're.
So did he come out as well? Did you get to talk with those guys? Or?
Yes, not at liberty to discuss exactly what we did, but some pretty cool
okay.
stuff to see.
Have you gotten to drive one of those yet, or no?
I have not driven a Koenigsegg. I would be too scared to drive a Koenigsegg because it's a lot higher than my net worth, and I'm not interested in
liquidating just in case.
Yeah.
Replacing?
Christian Koenigsegg
Just
sells maybe about 35 vehicles a year. They're all spoken for before they even come off the assembly.
They're like $6
plant.
to $12 million bucks or something.
I don't know that
right?
they're that expensive, but they're multi-million-dollar vehicles.
My boss and I were talking about this the other day. He's like, "You got to check this out." I'm like, "What do you got?" He's like, "There's this car manufacturer that's building these like complete carbon fiber vehicles, like frame and all." And he goes, "They're like ridiculous fast." I'm like, "Show me a picture." And he shows me. I'm like, "Man, my buddy Daniel knows all those dudes over there."
No, it's a great stuff. It's a great story, and
He said it took like 4,000 hours to build one. They're all built by hand or something.
they're
along
all
those
completely
lines.
hand built. They even make their own 24-inch carbon fiber wheels that they build there, and so they're all. It's a pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. There's actually a Koenigsegg representative in Dallas. I think 1 of 4 in the entire nation. So for those of you watching, if you want to order your new Koenigsegg, you can travel down to Lemon Avenue in Dallas, make an appointment, and order your Koenigsegg here locally. So keep it local.
You can also
it
sponsor our
local.
podcast.
Yeah.
If you're buying one of those, you could just
You could set
throw
up
in a
You
sponsorship.
could set up an
to-
appointment with us, and we'll drive you down there with
Or
Daniel.
you could also
and
buy, an
full experience.
You could also buy like a
Just figuring if you'll do
7,000
that.
square foot house, 8 bedrooms and 5-car garage and a pool. I mean, you could also buy that for the same price.
Or an elephant.
Yeah, possibly.
And get an elephant.
That's right. Listen, I don't want to ruin your moment on cars here. Keep your car questions going while we're on it.
Well, let's see what else.
Scott loves to talk cars, so I knew this was going to
He
be his
knows.
episode.
Oh, whatever.
No, cars are fun. I mean, that's
I
really what
heard
we
your
did.
thing hit the table. You got so worked up about that. Whoa.
That's right. They could see it too.
Could they?
So
Yeah, they could see
about
everything
the
under
about
the
the
table.
car festival.
Like your white ass legs from last week.
Hey,
So we were there for the car festival.
Daniel's the one now keeping. Thank you for
Bring it
keeping the
back to
podcast
topic.
going. And Scott's over here talking about my white legs. Like, is there any better?
Oh boy. No, anyway, great stuff. Hopefully, I don't have a ticket coming in the mail because they're big on radar cameras and speed traps all over Europe. So we drove through many areas. Actually,
Really, I thought that was the
something
area that
interesting-
you could just like.
No,
Germany.
Oh,
you're
okay.
thinking Germany. No,
Autobahn.
no. This is really, and it's all in kilometers, which is fine. You just have to kind of mind what you're doing. And there's everything is roundabouts, which is an ingenious thing.
All over there.
I wish. I don't even remember going to a stop sign or a traffic. They barely even have traffic lights there. Everything is a roundabout, and it makes
Carmel,
total
Indiana.
sense.
That's how Israel was.
And it's just great for traffic flow. But something funny that happened, we're at the rental car agency in the Netherlands, and in Europe, I actually posted a picture of this. I call it the American Anti-Theft Device Package, and it's simply a manual transmission car, because so many Americans don't know how to drive manual transmission. How many of you out there? I don't know. Are people commenting? I don't know how this is.
They
actually
will.
working. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it'll be on Facebook. They will.
Millennials. Anybody after
Can you-
92?
Yeah. My first car was.
make a
My
comment.
first 2 trucks were.
This isn't to publicly shame anybody, but make a comment if you do or do not know how to drive manual, 5-speed, stick shift, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And so we're at the rental agency, and you can always spot an American in Europe because they're either wearing white tennis shoes or blue jeans. It's pretty obvious. So this woman comes traipsing along,
Or they're asking for an automatic car,
Right.
right?
and this woman comes traipsing
love it.
along, and she walks up. Well, that's exactly it. And she walks up to the counter. She's pretty nice, but I mean, I was step ahead of her, whatever. People are working away, getting in cars. They pull up our car, and it's a Peugeot, is a 6-speed standard transmission Peugeot.
Nice.
So I pull it up. It was all right, and so.
Peugeot.
Yeah, so which, by the way, they're coming back to America. The PSA group is bringing the Peugeot line back to the United States probably in 2021, maybe. We'll see.
This is a fun car.
So, point of the story was this lady who obviously reserved a car online, and I don't know the whole story. Maybe she picked the cheapest one or whatever she did, but she didn't read the fine print that says they only provide standard transmission cars. So she really had a meltdown and was demanding this BMW, which was already reserved for somebody else, which happened, I guess, to be an automatic. But that wasn't even part of the same rental agency. So I just advised her to get all the extra insurance coverage. I gave her a quick tutorial in the parking lot, and I said, good luck. And so I kind of watched her sort of, I said, let me get 3 car lengths ahead of you, and then when you see me go this way, then you start driving. And I never saw her again, but that's fine.
Wow, that's funny.
But, you know, people don't, it's a lost art, and that's fine, you know.
1992, anybody born after that, they have no clue.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
Some do, but not many.
I don't know that it's really an
writing cursive, I've
required
never seen
skill.
that.
Yeah.
Now I read something somewhere that they were bringing cursive back to schools.
I think I heard that too. Somebody was teaching that. Yeah.
I mean, it could be fake news, but I mean, it was definitely something I read. I remember
Fake
that.
news.
But anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. So watch all the people drive. But everybody's very courteous. It's funny because we were in Boston before we flew out. And my friend was commenting, for those of you who've been to Boston, the airport's sort of downtown or whatever, or near the harbor, however it works. Anyway.
Harbor.
Yeah, the harbor. And so driving in Boston, you know, my friend's driving or whatever, and I even made the comment, I said, what's happening? I go, why is everybody converging? There was one lane into the airport. It wasn't even construction. And then he goes, oh, because everybody will jump ahead. And then at the last minute cut over. And these people were cutting over big time getting into the airport. And a lot of them are taxi drivers and stuff. So he's making the comment that these people know. This exit didn't just come up and go, oh, I have to get over. So my point of the story is these people just... But it's like the drivers knew it was going to happen, and people just fought for these. But anyway, they get in there. So you get to Europe, and the people were so darn courteous. I mean, and of course, I'm kind of at a sorts and trying to figure out, you know, where I'm driving and stuff.
I want to cut this guy off, but I don't feel good about it.
Yeah.
But I'm in the wrong spot.
Right, and the navigation's like, you know, you're driving along, the navigation will say, in 300 meters, exit on Fushnichnechnuduchda. And I'm like, wait, what? And so I'm
out.
Yeah.
How do you spell that, Siri? How do you spell it?
And so I'm trying to exit on this roundabout when the navigation is telling me that, and you know, people are coming, and everybody just slows down and lets you go, and it was great. It was very pleasant.
Opposite side of the road, opposite side of the car, right?
Depending on what country, and that's the UK and Ireland and Scotland where they drive on the other side. Yeah, this was all on the right hand side.
Oh, okay.
So it was,
I'm
but,
like, if
but
I had
still,
all those things, I'd be like,
and manual
I'm so
transmission,
screwed.
you'd be done.
So screwed.
No.
Too many things
Too many
to check
things
on the box and
happening
be
at
like,
the same time.
But also begs the population to the density there. I was thinking in Sweden, I'm like, why is everybody so calm and orderly here, and nobody's like real intense? So it's all about population. There's actually just under 10 million people in the entire country of Sweden, and Dallas-Fort Worth has, I think, close to 8 million or 7.8 or something like that. So imagine the entire country of Sweden basically is Dallas-Fort Worth, spread out on a whole country. So people are a little less tense for that reason. There's a little less traffic, I guess you could say.
all right, Scott.
So let's got to move on from car talk.
Yeah, man. Why don't you just ask Daniel? Let's get some questions. Let's dive in a little bit more. Get to know him a little better.
All right. Let's do this. Let's get one more car question out of the way, and then we'll continue.
I knew he had one more, and this will go on for another 20 minutes.
And I know the answer. I know the answer.
I don't know the
this will be a
question. I'm
quick
excited.
one. First car.
Oh, my first car. Like the first one that was titled to me, or the first one I drove?
First one you stole.
Stolen?
No, I'm kidding.
Everybody's like,
My first car was a 1986 Honda CRX. Anyone remember the CRX 2-door death trap?
Two-door, no
It was
back seat.
it was 2-seater
The window,
car.
the rear window that you actually looked out of was right above the taillights.
It was a 2-seater. It was basically, it weighed. As a matter of fact, in high school, some friends of mine played a joke on me, and 4 of them lifted up the car by the fenders and took it and hit it around the corner because it weighed like 1,800 pounds or something
wow.
crazy.
That's funny.
sounds like what you do with the old Geo Metro. A friend of mine had one of those. You just pick it up
It was
and
a
move
lot
it.
cooler than a Metro.
MG midget, you just pick it
Yep.
up and
So,
I'm gonna put it in the foyer.
and I loved that car. It was completely auto-zoned out. I had the little sort of rubber, what do you call them, windshield wiper foamy things that you would buy. I had the smoked plastic headlight cover protector things you put on. I had a LeBras. See, he's not following me because he's too young. You know what I'm talking
I know
about.
what you're talking
I know
about.
all the things that you're talking about, but I get that Scott, from where I'm at, I know Scott's over here like, oh yeah.
He's like
Keep
the
talking,
AutoZone
baby.
Kind of like
package.
this.
The AutoZone package.
Keep talking.
I love that car. I had many memories in that car.
Scott's getting hot and bothered. Keep going.
Yeah, he's getting a tummy right now.
That's why he's getting so quiet. He's like, yeah.
Like, knock me off
And-
of all my other questions.
And
Tell me more about your Honda.
He's left on the table right now.
All right, what is your go-to coffee?
As in, like, brand or type?
like, what's your
When
coffee
you go to
order?
Starbucks, what do you order?
Oh, I get like the Pike Place. Is that what it's called? The medium
Pike Place?
Yep.
Pike Place.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of coffee, though, a friend of mine gave me this coffee called APC, which is Automatic Performance Coffee, and it's a Saab coffee because that's a thing in Sweden.
It's a what?
You can't bring it into America because it's too potent. It's not like allowed for the Food and Drug or whatever.
I'm gonna need some of that.
Well, I brought a bag back, and a drug dog at the Heathrow airport actually sniffed it out, and literally we had to open our luggage. They let me bring it in, but it's just not. I guess for food, you're allowed to bring it in. They can't import it. I guess is what I'm
You're
trying
like,
to say.
it's coffee.
Because
it has
it's not
light traces of
approved
cocaine.
for
But
what is it, Food and Drug Administration or something like that. So it's
Oh,
not
it's not
it's
FDA
not,
approved,
It's not
gotcha.
illegal to bring some in, but they can't mass import it. Anyway, it's from Kenya. It's super potent. It'll
that's
light
what
you
he's
up.
feeding his kid.
Yes.
I'm telling you. That's why.
That's
that
how
kid,
he wins races.
That's why that kid runs 520 mile.
So yeah, that's the
Jacked
secret.
up on caffeine.
Kenyan Saab coffee.
Yes,
I'll give it a
it's
quick
awesome.
bite.
I don't know if you noticed, but he didn't say his favorite go-to coffee was a mocha latte.
It's okay. He's just not there yet, man.
Huh? I don't get it.
Scott's least manly thing is that he orders. Scott likes to claim that he's the manliest man of men. but
And
his
you
least
ordered
manly
that?
thing- See? Yeah.
That's one step away from like a chai tea latte.
Wow.
My
See,
new
skinny.
favorite guest.
See, I look
Skinny.
at it like it's.
knows all the things about Bigfoot. Knows all the things about cars. Bam! Slammed you on coffee.
But you're not the guy
I look
that's
at it like it's one step away from chocolate milk, not like it's one step away from.
Who puts chocolate milk in their coffee?
But are you the guy? Are you the one that
doesn't?
goes in and orders it with skim milk and
No.
no extra? But go ahead and add whipped cream on top.
No whip,
no
Are
way.
you that
He's
guy?
he's a one pump guy though. Just one pump.
I'm sure he
mocha
is.
latte, one pump of chocolate. I mean, it's
At any
good.
point, do you call it like a spritzer? Just a
No.
spritzer of anything on it? Okay.
Sugar free.
Just
you
a
know,
spritzer of-
sprinkles.
A sprinkle.
It's actually December. Can you put a little peppermint in there?
Wait, when they ask your name,
Just
do you
shave it
say
on top.
do you say Scotty with an IE or just like for the name when they ask you the Starbucks name?
No, he says Zimmy with a winky face, please.
That's right.
Zimmy.
Scotty. Okay.
Zimmy.
Oh my god, that's good.
All right. So I'll let you-
Sorry, I had to do it.
but you know what? I'll let you take me to Starbucks just so I can witness this. I think that's a fair.
Well, we'll take you to communion. We'll do something better in Starbucks.
Oh, there
Sorry,
you go.
I don't allow
I like
that.
communion.
Yeah,
Communion's good.
Located at Beltline in 75 in Richardson, 75080.
you guys can also be a sponsor of the podcast. Just saying, Tim and Tim, come on, guys.
Yeah, we got to go down there and
They,
do it live.
they serve poutine there from my native country at communion. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do they have a Canadian chef?
I think there's some Canadian influence in that place. Check it out.
Is
One
it
of
good?
the
So next time you have an evening craving for poutine,
So,
you
so
know
it's
where
a
to go.
good poutine. Have you had it?
I didn't
yet?
actually have it. I just saw it on the menu.
That's like a thing, though, right? Like there's like a following around poutine.
I think so.
You know the maple leaf around here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
Ridiculous.
good stuff.
Have you had the poutine there?
My son-in-law did. I saw that like, dude, that's gonna make a good turd later.
Also a good.
The best line ever. It's gonna make a
it's
good
gonna
turd
make a good
later.
turd later.
For anybody watching that doesn't know what poutine is, it is a French fry dish traditionally served with brown gravy, cheese
And
curds,
cheese.
and then a variety of other stuff that
Yep.
they've kind of
Variety
the
of
millennials
seasonings and spices.
have added. They have curry poutine now and all types of different things.
Do they have a mocha poutine?
I don't think so.
No, but you'd love it. So
Bet
then
it'd
the
be-
follow-up
bet it'd be
question.
good. I bet it'd be good.
The follow-up question has to be then: if you had to eat your way out of one food, what would it be?
Oh me?
Yeah, Scott doesn't know his still.
I'm picturing like a vat of something. You mean like if you were drowning in a huge vat of something and you had to eat your way out of
Sure.
it?
Yeah.
You're stuck in a room. The room is surrounded in whatever you want
Gosh.
from anywhere. Like you're like, I want to be engulfed in Chick-fil-A nuggets in order to eat my way out. Like
Cool.
he's like, sounds good for about 5 minutes.
No, there's nothing. That does not sound like it's going to end well. I would
I don't know that any of these are
probably
going to end well.
say- Gosh, that's I don't know. I like peaches, like a vat of like peaches in like spring water. Is that weird? Where you'd have to just like...
It's very descriptive.
It's definitely...
Like I'm picturing a swimming pool.
Especially when you
full-
talk about the song Peaches and Cream and you know what that really means.
Actually, I don't. But anyway, if you were to take like Dole peaches in the... Not in the heavy syrup, but like in the spring water and just fill like a...
So not so
pool.
syrupy,
We're talking
yeah.
like canned peaches?
They don't. I would prefer fresh, but I mean, beggars can't be choosers. So I mean, if that's the option.
Did you figure out what you're going to eat out yet?
No.
Likes mocha lattes and still doesn't know what to eat out. Ladies and gentlemen, Zimmy Zimmerman.
Ting. What you got?
What you got?
So where were you born?
I was born as a neighbor to the north in Canada, and that is where I'm from. Proud to say I'm Canadian. Well, I kind of claim the United States now because I felt like I ran the numbers and I've slept more nights in America than I have in Canada, so I've decided that I will claim American.
So you like official?
So you slept with America more than Canada is what you're saying.
Yeah, you could look at
There
it
we
that
go.
way. Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
That is a real good way to look at it.
More like down here. Yeah, I get it.
And I've assimilated. I mean, people think that I'm Texan enough, so I can kind of pull it off. So we'll go with that. But yeah, Canada, the neighbor to the north. Somebody told me one time, they said, Canada, isn't that like living above a fraternity house to a party that you're never invited to? And that's how they were describing America. And I said,
Ooh.
well, that's kind of a burn. Then I felt better when I met a lady at a checkout stand that asked me if Canada was the state that was attached to New York by Niagara Falls, and I said yes, that's exactly it.
Close enough.
And by the way, being from Canada, I don't know your friend John in Canada, so don't ask me.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about all that.
Sorry.
Do you get in trouble for being extremely just kind? That's
I
always the
used to
joke
be.
with
I used to be,
Canadians.
and don't get me wrong, I love America, I love Texas, etc., etc. People find me as an odd Canadian because I'm pretty rigid now that I've been Americanized. Is that a thing or whatnot?
Yeah.
So I used to be obnoxiously nice.
Traumatized?
Yes, I used to be obnoxiously nice, and I've kind of toned that down a little bit.
Do you like
so.
Tim Hortons?
It's all right. I think it's the funny thing about Tim Hortons is on their coffee. They currently say if this was the United States, we'd have to warn you that the beverage you're about to consume is extremely hot. That's what the cups say in Canada. It's kind of a little joke, and they love Americans there, but they can get away with it.
And they love their sugar in their coffee.
They do. It's kind of gross, but
Oh, dude.
Tim Hortons is so popular there. It's just sort of the thing to do that whenever one is under construction or a new one is operating, they have mobile Tim Hortons to set up a temporary Tim Hortons so that the closest one isn't inundated, because if the other one's under construction or whatever, right, or the building,
Another one will get overwhelmed.
it'll go overwhelmed. So they
Wow.
have temporary
That's
housing
crazy.
of Tim
So
Hortons.
it's the Starbucks of Canada.
Absolutely.
But worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
But worse, could you imagine while they're doing construction, they've got a Starbucks food truck there serving
Well, not to
just to
overrate.
keep the
take advantage.
population under control?
Hey, Tim Hortons, you can sponsor us too.
There you go.
I don't know where it would get them, but hey,
Listen,
only one way to find out.
we've got a connection right here. We got a Canadian.
That's true. There are some Tim Hortons in the United States, border states. New York, I think, has some Tim Hortons, like Pennsylvania and a few others, somewhere around there.
Close to the water.
Yeah.
20 miles max.
So yes.
All right.
So back on the first podcast, we were talking about
Oh man, here we go.
Oh God, what?
childhood obsessions and so forth, and posters on walls, and we had a little thing we were talking about Paula Abdul.
Oh,
And-
Paula.
And you came up to me at a Wine Society event, and we're like, "Oh my God, I listened to the podcast, and I got a Paula Abdul story."
Well, yeah, because you were trying to get with my girl on your podcast, and
That's right.
Paula's forever my girl, so I don't know what you're talking
Ooh.
about.
Were we really? Was that
That was
a
you.
question?
That
and
was
you were
a
trying
Paula
to.
Abdul pun. Paula's forever my girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
So tell us the story.
Well, let's see. Paula Abdul. Let's see. Which, if she's watching, happy birthday. Because her birthday's on the 19th. I just happen to remember that.
Yes.
This guy knows everything. I'm like fascinated right now. I'm about to just start throwing out the most random things.
Let him
Just be
finish.
prepared.
Paula Abdul. Let me think. We kind of go way back. I'll never forget what we had, but maybe she has. But the point
I'm
is,
sure she remembers.
put it this way: I spent an absorbent amount of money when I was a child mailing stuff to her fan club. This is kind of before they enforced like restraining orders and things, when they just had like things you could send in the mail. And I used to send her stuff in Los Angeles because I really kind of felt like, we had a connection apparently. And then randomly enough, years later, I actually met her here in Dallas at what was it called? The like Smirnoff Coca-Cola Cinemark Plex thing. It's in Fair Park. It changes names all the time. I don't know what it's called now. We'll call it the Starplex. I think that's what it was called.
That's what it was.
The Don't Be So Brewed Plex. Yep.
Anyway, it's a music venue or whatever. So she was there, and this is about 1992 or something. She had recently made a really bad decision in her life and married Emilio Estevez, if you may recall. And so I didn't want to like berate her publicly for that bad step, but she was like 30 days into that relationship when I met her through a chain link fence, and I just sort of said hi to her.
Is this a prison story?
No.
I hear dogs do that.
We're getting there.
No, but I mailed her this giant like stuffed zebra. It probably cost like $300 when I was a kid to spend all this money to this P.O. box, and I don't even know if I ever even got there because I read somewhere in a magazine that she liked zebras. So naturally, I went out and bought her one and sent her all these things. And anyway, but that's just kind of how it goes. And
so you sent her a zebra? You didn't send her one of those one things that we were talking about?
Okapi?
No, I don't want to confuse her. I'd act like a serial killer or something.
Wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, wouldn't want to set her off.
I'm just a mild stalker.
Paula, I know this fence is here, but come over here.
No.
Hey, come talk to me. Over here.
But yeah, that's my Paula Abdul story. So, that's just how it went. Wish her luck. So she's still living in Van Nuys, California.
What's her address?
Well, which one? No. It got pretty bad. I even knew her dog's names and stuff like that.
He knows.
How many Paula Abdul shirts
hang
do you
on though. What were your information sources? Because like the internet wasn't
not at
92,
all.
92. It wasn't really
It was
around.
this is like 1989.
Teen Bop type.
This is like 89
magazines,
something.
or I mean, how were you getting your intel?
Sure. Yeah, I think in magazines there was information how to write to some club. I think they sent me something back one time and
Cease and desist.
Maybe.
I don't know. They asked me to put thumbprint on this thing and mail it in. I don't know what it's about. I just did it. I thought it was
They
like a
need
way
to be able to track you just
a way
in
to like
case.
get in closer, free tickets or something. But
Prosecution is imminent.
Paula, did you get my zebra and my thumbprint?
But yeah. Anyway, so that's
So magazines were primary source.
correct. And then finally, when we broke up, sometime in like the late '90s, I think I recycled everything.
She's no longer my girlfriend.
Yeah. So it took me 5 years of her not responding.
So what happened when she resurfaced on American Idol? I mean, was that like a big thing for you, or was that just kind of like I'm over it?
No, I never really watched the show. I mean, she knew, she had the opportunity then, so that just never transpired, I guess. But
It happens.
actually
Just wasn't meant to be.
actually sold her autograph. I feel really bad. I sold her autograph, I think, on eBay for $7 to somebody in Florida, and so. I mean, I thought it was kind of cool to keep for a while, but I didn't want to keep stringing her along, so I eventually sold it.
Yeah, you just gotta let her go.
Gotta let her go.
You just, I
It
can't.
really did. It said Paula forever your girl or something like that. And it's like, really? Well, it cost me $4 to ship it to Florida, so I netted $3.
Did you get your closure on that?
I think
Like,
so,
was
yeah.
the sale kind of like that pinnacle moment where it's like, okay, I'm over this?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell.
Right on. So we're at tail end of the podcast here. Is there anything else you'd like to pitch or talk about? Or
No, I just want to say hi to all the good folks out there watching. And it's an honor to be here. I mean, I know you've had actors and musicians and like the local celebrities, and I feel pretty honored to, be part of the what does this make me? Part of the brew crew, or am I just a guest, or how's this
No.
work?
no, you're
Of
part
course.
of
I
the
get an
crew.
autograph?
Anyone that comes on is an honorary, of course. We will
Yes,
sign
but
anything.
We're gonna have a minimum on it if you sell it.
Yeah, how much can I sell your autograph
At
for?
At least $8.
$8.50.
With free shipping.
But to be more than
Like, it's got to
Paula.
have more than Paula Abdul for sure.
We gotta beat her by
Which
just a
for
little.
the record, her autograph could go for a lot more. I was trying to be nice to somebody. I think it was a buy it now or something.
Yeah, you were just trying to hook somebody up that had the
Yeah.
same obsession. You just wanted to make sure. All right, so then while Zimi's looking this up, I'll ask you one more question. So, considering that you're the information guy, it sounds like to me, how much money would it take for you to not know how to read?
me to not know how to read? Well,
Soul space.
gosh, that is a loaded question. How much money would it?
Well, because first you're like, oh, okay, and you start thinking about it, and then you're like, wait, just think about all the things that you have to do. Like, a lot of communication now is through text, and it's like, you can't read that.
I would dare say so. So my brother's deaf, and yesterday I was watching him on. He has an app that he listens to all of our conversations. He just throws his phone down at the table, and everybody's yapping in the room, and it picks up all this stuff and it translates everything for him. And he seems to get by. Although deaf is different than not being able to read, obviously. But I think with the technologies today, I don't know, $5 million.
Mine would have to be way more.
Just saying. I guess I'm.
Books on tape.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of get by, can't you?
It's true. I'm just thinking about all the stuff with work, with email, with text message, with news, with anything. It's just, I don't know. It would take a lot.
How does Bigfoot do it?
Plus, you seem to be the guy that's like, applause to you, know a lot. And so you wouldn't be able to grab and take up all that information. You wouldn't be able to figure out Paula's new address.
No. Yes, I would.
Or where Bigfoot is hiding.
And listen, if you ask for enough money,
Well, you don't need
you
to
could
read.
just hire someone
Yeah,
that can
surround
read all
yourself
of your
with-
stuff for
You got to
you.
realize you don't need to read now. You can just listen to podcasts like this, and you'll be good to go.
That's everything
True story.
you need to know.
Don't Be So Brewed will take care
I
of
mean,
you.
everything here is
We got
factual
you.
anyway. I mean, there's no lies at all.
I do have a quick shout out to my running buddy that who may be watching. So we'll just call him No Shoulders, and he knows.
What's up, No Shoulders?
He knows who he
Is
is.
it no shoulders or no neck?
No Shoulders.
Okay.
It's all neck, no shoulders.
Yeah.
Giraffe.
So we'll see you Wednesday.
We call him Obaki.
All right, Scott.
All right, I got two for tonight because they're both good.
All right, y'all. It's time for Scott's final moments. Everyone, grab your chairs, brace in, get ready.
More dad jokes.
Oh Lord.
Ready, Charlotte? Did you hear the rumor about butter?
That it has a butt?
No. I'm not gonna spread it.
Don't give him that cheap laugh. Come on.
Okay. One more, just because that one was a little cheap.
Yeah, everybody simultaneously
I-
just signed off.
I got one. I got one too, actually.
What
so
do you
I'm ready.
call a man that can't stand? Neil.
I'll give you that one. That one was good.
Neil, Matt.
All right. Thanks for all that, Chai Tea.
Right? Hey, Scott.
Hey, Brandon.
How do you catch a unique animal?
How?
Unique up on it.
Nice.
I'm Dr. Brandon Brown, and I approve this message.
Folks, don't forget to like, share, and follow this podcast on Facebook, on Instagram as of late. That's real recent.
At Don't Be So Brewed.
And on iTunes. Please leave us a rating and a review. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye. Peace.
Phenomena. Phenomena. Phenomena.